President Joseph F. Smith spoke of the multitude of the youth of Zion that are growing up in our midst, said it was nothing but reasonable to expect that they would be better qualified to carry on the great work of God and accomplish a more staunch and vigorous labor than their fathers have done, on account of their being free from the many false traditions that have been handed down from generations past. It is astonishing to think of the great number from the beginning to the present who have embraced the gospel and then have fallen away. Even of the first 12 apostles who have been ordained to that high and holy calling, nearly one half had apostatized from the faith within 2 or 3 years of their ordination. The trials and temptations of which they were exposed were more than they were able to endure, and therefore they fell by the way and turned from the truth. So with many of the members of the church who embraced the faith and were then overcome by the allurements of the world and the influences of the evil one. After speaking at length on the apostasy that had taken place from the ranks of the priesthood and from the members of the church, he said he believed that in the future there would be far less apostasy than in the past. It had grown less as the ranks of the quorum of the 12 had been filled up from time to time, and as the church progressed, the saints would become more and more firm and faithful. Notwithstanding the numbers that have apostatized from this church, there are a greater number of good, faithful saints at the present time than there ever was before. The facilities now in our midst for the instruction of our youth and the good influence of their faithful parents by example and precepts would tend to preserve them in the path of righteousness and truth. He strongly denounced the practice of some parents who send their children to be taught by those whose mission here was to draw away our youth from the faith of the gospel, and set them in direct opposition to the work of God. It was not the principle of polygamy that those who were fighting against this work were so much opposed to. That was only used as a pretext for their hatred and enmity to the work of God. Those who make the loudest clamor against us on account of polygamy are the most deeply steeped in the vilest practices of the age, and against which the curse and displeasure of God are arrayed. He repeated, it was not polygamy that the world are opposed to, but simply the organization of the priesthood, as was recently remarked by a visitor to President Taylor. It is the power of God that they are opposed to. It is the grand principle of revelation that God has established in these days. If they could break the link between the heavens and the earth that had been severed so long, and which the Lord had restored, they would care nothing for our polygamy. The speaker showed the iniquity of modern Christendom with its secret sins and the purity of celestial marriage as revealed from heaven, and cited the former as evidence that the pretense that the reason for opposition to the latter was because it was licentious, was the rankest hypocrisy. He then made a powerful appeal to parents not to place their children under the care of those whose object was to lead them away from the faith of the fathers and mothers, and denounced the sin of such a course, the result of which would be seen in time and eternity, and sink the guilty to shame and punishment, which they would receive instead of the exaltation they expected, for God had made us responsible for our children until they reached the years of accountability.